Hey, what's up guys, I'm Praetorian and welcome back to HOI4. So it has been a while since our last HOI4 campaign. I believe it ended in February. That was as Russia. But we're back to do another campaign with a new expansion that just released today. I'm not even going to attempt to pronounce the name of the DLC because it's in German. I'll probably just butcher it. But like most HOI4 expansions, it adds new focus trees and some new mechanics. And we'll be taking a look at those as we play. So let's go ahead and get started. So we're going to be playing as Germany. They're one of the countries that got a new focus tree in this expansion. And while there's some interesting countries that got new focus trees that didn't have one before, like Austria and Belgium and the Belgian Congo, and then the Hungarians also got a revised focus tree. However, all of these are minor countries. Germany is the only major country that got a new focus tree, and with the mechanics that are added in this expansion, namely the raids and the special projects, I think it would be better if we played as a major power, because as a minor we might not be able to play around with those new mechanics as much, particularly the special projects. Germany actually starts with the ability to interact with that mechanic. Germany also got some other new interesting mechanics I'd like to play around with. And we haven't played as Germany in a while. It's been over 2 years since our last German campaign. So, it's been a while. And I like to regularly play the major countries, since I know a lot of people do prefer the major countries just because it feels like you get to do a bit more in the overall conflict. As usual, we'll have all the AI major countries get 2 points in the difficulty, just to strengthen them a bit, allow them to do a bit better against us. And most everything else when it comes to foreign policy, covert actions, all that kind of stuff, everything but the AI behavior is going to be left on the default settings. So basically what we're going for here is a 2-faction war between the fascists and the communists. And it's going to be mostly focused on Europe. We're going to remain fascist as Germany for a couple reasons. First of all, one of their new mechanics is tied to being fascist. And then the other reason is because we haven't done a fascist Germany campaign in a very long time. It's been about 5.5 years. The last 2 German campaigns we did were as a monarchy and as a democratic Germany. So yeah, it's been a very long time since we played as fascist Germany. So again, we're going to have 2 factions. And both of them are going to have 3 major powers. So the fascist faction will be ourselves and Japan as usual, but we will not have Italy. Instead, we're going to have France. I decided to switch these 2 just to change things up a bit. Italy and Japan and Germany are always on the same side, so I thought it would be interesting to have France ally with Germany. I don't know that we've ever had Germany allied with France while we were playing as one of those 2, so it should be a little bit different from some of our past campaigns. So yeah, it'll be us, Japan, and France against the Soviets, the Italians, and Britain. I'm not going to go through all of these since it'll take a while, but you can see that we got most countries going either fascist or communist. The Dominions, almost all of them will be communist like the British, with the exception of the South Africans. I thought it would be interesting to have one African country be fascist and another be communist. And then we have Ethiopia, which they're also set to fascist, but obviously they have to, break free from the Italians. But yeah, we have the Belgian Congo. They're set to go communist, and they should try and spread communism throughout the African continent. Poland is going fascist because we don't want them to join the Comintern. I'd like to get them conquered, since I don't know if we'll be able to conquer some of the other countries that Germany generally does. But we also don't want them joining our faction, so we went with this option here. The United States is going to stay democratic, because I want this campaign to be focused on Europe, so I don't want them joining either of the other factions, because our goal is to defeat the communists. And so I don't want to have to go invade across there. It just takes a while and results in the campaign being a bit longer. So this will allow us to focus on the European and the Mediterranean theater. I suppose we might play in Africa and Asia to some degree as well. But yeah, not get too involved in the Americas. Spain, Portugal, and Greece, as well as the Baltic states, are all going communist, while Turkey and Bulgaria are going fascist. Switzerland's going to go with their imperial route, so we'll see how that goes. And this is the last thing I wanted to mention. Austria, we have them going with their variant historical routes, where they're going to fight tooth and claw for their independence until the bitter ends. This might present a challenge or delay to the outbreak of the war. And so it should be much more difficult to annex them because they have changed that up. And so we might not be able to annex them. We might actually have to do a war and conquer them. And as usual, we'll just play on the regular difficulty because we don't want all these penalties, which just make everything take longer. Doesn't result in the funnest gameplay. We've already increased the difficulty up here with the major nation buffs, not granting any to ourselves. Alright, so let's go ahead and finally get started. Always takes a little while to go over the setup. And then we have all this stuff that we need to take care of, and there's even more stuff than there was before because they keep on adding things to this game. So we got to start by taking a look at the new German focus tree. It is absolutely massive. I believe the developer said it's the largest focus tree in the game. I don't know, the Spanish focus tree seems like it's a little bit larger, but maybe not. There's a lot of focuses over here. So yeah, it's a very large focus tree. I'm not going to go through the entire thing as I usually do. We'll just talk about it as we play. But I love that they have the ability to hand to the different sections. So the Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Economy, the Politics, which if we scroll right down here, this is the new mechanic. One of the reasons why we're going to play as fascist. We would not be able to play with the inner circle mechanic if we went with one of the alternate paths on the focus tree. So I think this should be pretty interesting to play around with. So we're going to start by remilitarizing the Rhineland. So that's going to give us that political power and the army experience. And want to see how France and Britain reacts to this. Say 35-day focus. Many of the focuses on Germany's tree are 35 days, which is really nice because obviously it would take a very long time to get through that focus tree otherwise. So we're going to get the typical stuff, electronic mechanical engineering, and get our industrial techs, the basic machine tools and construction 1. And then for this tech, we could get the basic armor protection. I think we're going to go ahead and get the interwar artillery first. Unlock some of these goodies, particularly that close support gun. And then we'll use the artillery manufacturer MIO. We actually could have kept that research screen open because we need to go into the experimental facilities tab, which is right here in the research, in order to assign a scientist. So these new facilities, and there are 4 different types of them, are actually on the map in a specific location. That means you can attack them. So you can like bomb them, and that's where the raids come in place. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get one of these scientists assigned. I think we should probably get the armored specialist, Edward Grote, because I believe we don't have enough breakthroughs to do the artillery project. So yeah, we'll assign him, and then we need to select one of the special projects. So this is the artillery one, the super heavy howitzer. It requires 2 breakthroughs, so we can't do that. Thus our 2 choices are the flamethrower tank or the military engineering vehicles. This is something new in the game. We'll see that when we go into the tech tree. So we'll get the assault engineer company. Be pretty helpful for our tank units. You'll have to produce the armored support vehicles for those. So yeah, let's go ahead and get that started. And that can unlock a variety of things besides just what you get here, because you have these iterations, and so you never know exactly what you're going to get from that, but it's generally always something good. We don't need to worry about these because of the route that we're going to be going on our focus tree, so we don't need to be notified about that. So let's go and start getting rid of some of these different alerts here. So we need to start construction probably of one military factory first. I believe we're at least short on one, maybe get a couple of these actually, and then we'll be focusing exclusively on the civilian factories. So I'm going to try and build these in places that aren't going to have their infrastructure improved from focuses, so that we can make sure that we're taking advantage of the full construction bonus once we have those focuses completed. So we'll get 2 military factories, and then again we're going to work on the civilian factories after that. I think that should keep them busy for a while. Let's go and handle all of our equipment now. So we'll get 5 factories put into support equipment, 4 into artillery. We got the Panzer IIs, which aren't too bad. We'll want to make a few adjustments to them, but yeah, they're really not all that bad for a starting tank. I think there's a few things we need to add here, like the anti-air. We want to at least start getting those built. Probably not going to put a lot of factories into them. We also need to get the naval bombers and the transport planes. We'll actually be using those in this campaign. I believe Heinkel, the heavy aircraft designer, is the best one for the transport planes. So let's put these up to the top so we don't have to go through all of those, though I don't know if it was which way is quicker. Do have a new mouse. Hopefully the scroll isn't too annoying. It's a little annoying to me. We'll put these right here. But yeah, I got a new mouse and a new keyboard. Really liking the keyboard, but the mouse not as much. So we want to make sure that we have MIOs assigned for all of these, so we don't have one for this plane. So that's going to be the medium aircraft designer. And then we need to get the ships sorted out, which they're always a mess when you get started. We're going to put the submarines down at the bottom. And we just want to build one more of these simply because they're already partially built. So might as well get them done. And you know what? These initial submarines, or at least those ones, probably weren't all that bad anyways. Put that destroyer down at the bottom as well. And if we get any excess dockyards, we'll want them to go into this ship here, though maybe not, because we're going to need to do repairs once we get our ships out there training. In fact, maybe we'll only use 5 of these for repairs, so I think that should be good. While I'm thinking about it, let's make sure we set up our locations for repairs. So we don't want them to repair there or there. Make sure they repair in those 3 locations, or this one, that's fine as well, so they can use the full 5 dockyards for the repairs. Now we need to get all of our troops put into 1 or 2 armies, just so we get rid of that notification up there, and so we can easily train them as well. We'll put these guys in a separate army, since they're separated from the rest of our guys, and we'll go and change up their colors as well. We'll also put the tanks and the motorized in their own army. Make sure we got everybody set up with their motorization priority as well. Alright, let's go and handle the fleet. We just want them all to go to the same port over here. In fact, we might combine some of these. Yeah, let's go and combine these ones here. So these are some mining cruisers. Show you the design here. They have the 2 mine lane rails. So we might have a pretty large fleet for laying mines. It's not that our fleets are going to be all that important in this campaign. Yeah, they have a bunch of destroyers that are good at the mine lane, or at least have the equipment for that. So we'll just put them all into one fleet, and then put these guys over here as well. And before we sort out the planes, we do need to change up their designs, because I think they're all set to use the same icon here, and so I'd prefer to have them using different ones. That's the way I like to do it, but by default I think they all use the same one, which is the one we're going to use for the dive bombers. So yeah, nothing different here, guys. I find that it's helpful to always use the same icons for everything, so you don't get confused in between different campaigns. I don't think we actually need these guys here. They're close air support. They're a little bit different, but they're interwar close air support. I'm not entirely sure why they're not decommissioned, so we're going to go ahead and do that. Of course, the problem with doing that is that you then need to go through all your air wings and change those up as well. So I'll do that off camera here, so you don't have to watch all that. But we'll make sure we also set them up to the normal operations. So I got all those fixed. Now we're going to want to get them all selected and set to exercise until they get to their regular experience level. Next we need to solve our rubber shortage. Since we're going to be allying with France, or at least that's the idea, we'll go ahead and trade with them. And then the last thing we need to do is get some units training. So I want to show you guys the current designs. Again, Germany doesn't really start out in a terrible situation. Like, their tank unit's really not too bad. Obviously you need to increase the size of those units. Well, these guys got a lot of work needs to be done on them. We only have one cav unit, probably not going to be making use of those besides for anything other than garrison, which means we're going to want to get rid of the recon and the support artillery, maybe put MPs there. I don't know if it's even worth researching those. If we occupy a lot of territory, then I suppose it would be. So it says we got no equipment here, but I think we should have some soon. So let's get, we'll do 3 infantry units and 1 tank unit. And we want to make sure that we are prioritizing reinforcements. Alright, so I believe that's everything. Let's go ahead and let it play, get it on to full speed 5. See, we're using a lot of that fuel with the fleet moving and then training up our planes. We'll wait to train the ships until the majority of our air force is trained up. We don't want to completely deplete our fuel. Seems that remilitarizing the Rhineland has went well. Nobody has opposed us. So now we come upon our first choice here. So I love that they show you the historical focus route. And you can always turn that off if you don't like it. I think it's interesting that you can see which of each choices are considered the historical one. If you know the history of World War II, then you probably already know. So in this part of the focus tree, we are not going to be going the historical route. Mainly because I just like the bonuses that this one grants a little bit better. Really nice to have that extra experience gain. And some pretty good focuses here. And then with this route, it just doesn't make any sense since we don't want to ally with the Soviets. Again, there's still some good things here, depending on what you're planning on doing. But I think for our playthrough, this is clearly the better choice. And so this is the next focus we're going to get, because we've got to deal with Austria, or try to. I assume it's not going to work out. I did a little test playthrough as Germany, you know, doing the same route for Austria, and they would not accept annexation. So I assume that's what's going to happen in this one. That they're going to do everything they can, considering how we set them up on the focus tree, to ensure that we are not able to annex them without actually having to do a war. So yeah, we don't need to be notified of any of those decisions. We can select a political advisor. So he's the only one that we can afford right now, but it wouldn't make much sense to get him because of the route we're going on our focus tree. He would just end up being removed. And we could wait, because we're very close to 150 to get one of these other guys, but I think I'd prefer to get an early Chief of Air Force. And we only have the 2 options. Reich Marshal Hermann Göring has the best bonuses, clearly. Doesn't give you as much experience because he's just a specialist, but yeah, those production cost bonuses would be great. However, if we did put him in place as our Chief of Air Force, it would limit us on the focus tree. We wouldn't be able to go the route that I want to go. So we're going to go with Albert instead. He's a reformer, so he's going to get us a lot of air experience, which would be really helpful because I'd like to make some adjustments to our planes early on here. And then we'll probably switch over to Wilberg a bit later once he's unlocked. He gives even more air experience gain. He doesn't have that 10%, but this is still more. And then he also gives you the air superiority bonus. But for now, we're going to get this guy because it's going to be a little while before we're able to get that other character. That focus isn't too far down in the focus tree. However, we got a lot of other stuff we need to get first. So I haven't showed you guys the national spirits. So we'll go over these real quick. And also, they changed this up. You get the little notifications now, rather than have them be event pop-ups. Instead, they just pop up on the side there. So that's a nice little quality of life change. Just finished up our focus, excellent. We won't be able to attempt the annexation of Austria until after our army is 24 times bigger than the Austrian army. So that's going to take a little while. There are some focuses or maybe they're events that allow you to reduce that requirement. But this is the next focus we're going to get so that we can unlock access to the inner circle mechanic. And I'm really focusing on the political power. This will also increase our stability and the popularity of fascism and grant us some political power. So it's another 35-day focus. So it won't take too long to get. Seems that Turkey, which hopefully they should be our ally later in the game, they have successfully remilitarized the straits. So it seems we got 3 ships done, all submarines. And so now we need to train up our fleets. We'll just train the ships that need to be and separate them as well so we can see where they stand. And try not to use any more fuel than we have to. You can see that currently it lasts 1.3 years, but I also set some of our planes to continue training because as they get the planes that we build, they lose some of their experience. So we do have some free dockyards. So what we need to do is just assign the dockyards to the larger ships. So you may have noticed we got 2 notifications up here. This is concerning our land warfare facility and the research that we're doing. So this is in the iterations. We got 2 events. This first one was a successful critical test. So it increased the progress by 10% and also got him some more experience. The second event was also just more experience. He refined his expertise. And sometimes you'll get like research bonuses, though generally not significant, maybe like 10% or so. Yeah, you can get all kinds of different things, army experience, or Navy or air experience, just depending on which type of facility it is. All right, so we got that focus knocked out. Also, the civil war has started in Ethiopia. So this guy here is a subject of Italy. So they're going to be helping them conquer the rest of Ethiopia. And so they will not be annexed. Instead, they'll be a subject state of the Italians. So for our next focus, we're going to get our first member of the inner circle. All these focuses only take 14 days. So 2 weeks, you can get them pretty quickly. And after you do one, you cannot do another for 175 days. So basically we can choose 3 of these characters, though you can always, flip-flop them, like who is in the inner circle. With some of these characters, you should only choose one. So like with these 2, because I have a mutually exclusive one that will lock the other one out of completing their branch, you probably don't want to get them both. Same thing with Göring here. You wouldn't want to get him and Spear. Himmler and Goebbels can be combined with any other characters. But over here, you can only have one Party Chancellor. We are not going to get Hess. We're going to go with Bormann. Because, first of all, Hess might flee, do his infamous flight to the United Kingdom, if you don't get this one quick enough. But also, I just don't like the bonuses as much. But one reason why you might want to get a Party Chancellor for one of the 3 in your inner circle is because they grant political power. So obviously that's pretty helpful early in the game, but also all the other characters will actually result in you losing political power. So yeah, it's helpful to start with a Party Chancellor, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to get Bormann, and he's going to give us political power and reduce the cost of political advisors. And it'll only take 14 days for us to get that focus completed. Word has just reached us that the Austrian government has issued a ban on DNSAP in the federal state of Austria. A soft ban was already in place since 1934, though said ban was largely ignored by the political parties and government alike. This signifies a change of tone from the Austrian leadership towards us. Beyond the obvious insult that this might also hamper our influence over the federal state of Austria. So we say they will not lose us that easily. This will cost us political power. It's one reason to try to keep some political power while you're dealing with this Austria situation. If they accept this, they'll get an advisor they cannot fire, and it will be easier for us to annex them. Or we can just say how rude. We're going to go with this option, though I'm assuming that they're not going to accept, considering the route we sent them on the focus tree. So let's get the mechanical computing next, and we do actually have some air experience that I think we're going to spend to adjust some of our planes. So we'll start with the fighters. We're just going to increase their air attack by giving them some more machine guns. And this is something I really like, the dynamic version numbering. So you no longer have to worry about doing this yourself, which was kind of a pain in the butt. I'd often forget, and then it would delete the name that you created. So it's another nice quality of life change. They've really been working on that. So make sure that we have the right design company here. We should be able to change all of our planes because we're not making significant adjustments, though some of them do not have the MIO assigned, but it doesn't really matter if that MIO doesn't have any bonuses to grant. Let's take a look at the close air support. We're certainly going to want to change them up. They just have the bomb locks, and so we're going to want to give them the small bomb bay. That'll increase their ground attack. I don't know that we can get anything else here though, not without adding a larger engine there. Could of course take one of these off, but yeah, we want the die brakes, and I'm fine with the light machine guns being on there. So let's go and save this. We only need one of these two tactical bombers. They're not really different enough. I think one's supposed to be more for strategic bombing while the other one is for close air support. But yeah, we don't really need both of these. So we're going to go ahead and decommission this one, and then we'll keep this one and make some adjustments. They currently have 2 medium bomb bays, but we're going to change one of those over to a small bomb bay since this has the better ground attack. But we will keep the medium bomb bay so that they can do strategic bombing. Since I don't think we have any strategic bombers at the moment, we'll keep both of these on there as well. Obviously, it's reducing the agility, increasing the weight. These are big planes that don't have any agility anyways, so it's good to have a bit of air attack on there so that they can defend themselves. Also increases their air defense. And we'll also assign the MIO since that'll increase their surface detection and their ground attack. Alright, so that's going to cost 7 experience. And that's all of our planes. We just need to update our production lines. Make sure we're selecting the right ones as well. Alright, we're good to go there. We can select an industrial concern, which I think we will do that, as I don't want any of these political advisors more than we could use the industrial research speed increase. Here's other options. Could go with the electronics research speed. Some of these will be improved in our focuses. We might eventually change this, especially once we get through most of the industrial tech tree. But I think we'll keep that one for now. So the Federal State of Austria rejects our demands. We can say they will submit to us. This is another 50 political power, so it'll put us in the negative since we just spent what we had. But it'll increase our stability and the popularity of fascism. And maybe they'll accept. Again, probably not. We're really doing this just for the stability and the fascist support. That stability is pretty helpful. The factory and dockyard output, the increased political power gain, and also not needing as many factories for the consumer goods, but they did reject our demands as expected. Like I said, I think it's because of the setting that we had them do. I think they'll do anything to resist you, and that's the way I wanted it. So you now see that Martin Bormann is part of the inner circle. And so what that means, one of the characters being in the inner circle, is that they can now research their own focuses. So once a certain amount of time has passed since you got their focus, because they can't do it immediately, they do have to wait a little while, they'll start working on their focus tree. So Bormann will get this one first, and then he'll move down to this one, and then down to the total control over domestic affairs. And he researches these on his own. So it's not using your focus slot, it's not costing you any political power. And so because you can have 3 people in your inner circle, because they can only research their focuses when they're in the inner circle, that basically means that you could be getting up to 4 focuses at a time. The one you're working on, and then the 3 that the 3 members of your inner circle are researching. So we'll have to wait 175 days before we can add another person to our inner circle. So for the next focus, I think we're going to start prioritizing the economy a bit, which is the prioritized economic growth. So again, we're not going the historical route. which would be the 4-year plan. So essentially, this one is better on the short term. You're able to get into the war faster and be more powerful at that point. While this one is better in the long term. You're going to get some penalties and it's going to take a bit longer to get your economy up and running. But once you do, you'll have much more significant bonuses. And just overall, I like this route better. So that's the one we're going to go with, guys. And I think it's really fitting for this particular campaign. But so many countries are going to have to fight civil wars. Like I think France might. Italy could have to fight one. The Soviets, good chance they'll have to fight one because I think they're going with, I think we set them to go with Trotsky. I believe the British get to avoid the Civil War. We can deploy those units, by the way. Alright, so let's go make sure we add a couple more in here. We need to set them up to deploy to Berlin. Add another tank here as well. But since so many of the major powers might be facing civil wars, I think it makes sense to go a little bit slower. Take our time. I'll make these guys green peasants here as we generally do. And also set them up on the area defense here so we can assign these units to deploy straight to them as soon as they're ready. And we'll get some more infantry because clearly we need them in order to have more troops than Austria so we can take that focus. But since we need to wait till all those civil wars happen and the factions get aligned, which we see that's kind of slowly happening here, Yugoslavia recognizes the Soviet Union. But since we gotta wait for that to happen, I think it'd be good to take this slower but overall better route when it comes to the economy. Alright, so we knocked that out. Probably gonna go after the basic armor protection next. I did want to point out some of the differences in the tech tree just in case you hadn't noticed yet. You now have the fortification engineering. You no longer start with the ability to build level 10 forts. Instead, you need to get these techs. Also, the atomic research section is different. That's tied to the special projects. A lot of these are tied to special projects now. You may have noticed these colored tabs in the corner of some of the techs. That tells you which breakthrough progress they will contribute towards. That's a key way towards getting the breakthrough points, is by investing in the techs that have those. So in the case of these yellow tabs, that's for nuclear research, while the red ones are for aerodynamics and avionics. And then you'll see with the armor tech tree, they have green ones for the land warfare. Certainly some new techs, and this part of the tree. Yeah, many of the tech trees have new techs, which are all part of that special project system. Yeah, I think we're gonna go ahead and get the basic armor protection for our tanks. And we'll use Porsche, the heavy tank designer, for that. Get them some funding. And it seems that one of our MIOs, the artillery manufacturer, has the ability to get a trait. All right, excellent. So we'll probably just start out with the production bonuses initially, since we don't have the experience to even give these bonuses to the stuff that we're building. And it's nice to just be able to build faster. And you don't have to apply that with the experience, you get it immediately. So it's a good thing to work on initially. So let's take a look at our ships. So we'll keep these guys here so that we can add these two ships. And then we'll have these two join over here. Still training up those. Looks like our submarines are training as well. And we did finish up that national focus, the first in the economic branch. We can knock at the next one here, currency reforms, because we need to get rid of that national spirit first, which does have some hefty penalties. The recovering economy, we'll have that for a little while. But it's this one here that we got to get rid of. We'll have it until the 2nd of August, and it's taking a lot of our civilian factories. So we still have 17 here that we're making use of. But yeah, let's go and get a focus selected, and I think we're going to go to the army branch now. We want that army experience, and we also really want him as a chief of army. He's one of the best options, if not the best option for the way that I generally play. So we're going to get the concentrated industry next. Could argue for the dispersed industry, since we might end up getting bombed by the British. Kind of hoping that the British focus on the French though with their bombing. So it looks like the war in Ethiopia, oh never mind, I was going to say that it has finished up. It is not. They just annexed one of the smaller states there. We finished up that focus. Since we're going to be ending this video soon, did want to just quickly go over what my plan is on the focus tree. This one here obviously don't need to get just yet. It's focused on the fortifications. We don't need that at the moment. As far as the choice here between the Prussian legacy or the adopt new Panzer doctrine, well, this route does have some interesting stuff like the longer operational planning bonus and then the stormtroopers. I think we will be going down this branch. Just fits my playstyle a bit more and how I'd like to play Germany. There's still other focuses I'd like to work on before we get the Air Force ones. The fleet is really not going to be a priority, at least not early on. Certainly want to start going down these. And we need to prioritize getting our 5th research slot. We'll need to have 50 civilian factories. We currently only have 38. Many of these focuses actually grant civilian factories, and we're building some as well. And so between the focuses and the ones we build, it shouldn't be too difficult for us to get the required 50. We'll need to also make sure we're focusing on the inner circle, getting the 3 members so they can work on their focuses. So as soon as those become available, we will pick them. We'll eventually go down these branches as well, but it's not a priority. There's other things that are a little bit more important. We have not gotten the intelligence agency yet. You might have noticed that. So we still need to do that. We'll also want to get the anti-Comintern pact. But for right now, let's focus on the economic focuses. So this here is going to increase the infrastructure of 4 of our states to the maximum level. So that's the reason why I didn't want to build in those 4 states. But I accidentally started building in one of them. This one here, but we didn't get any of that constructed, so I put it over here instead. So that'll get us 5 civilian factories. We also got a new trait for our fast tanks designer, and we'll be getting the increase to max speed and reliability. We still need to switch our light tank design over to use this MIO because I think they're using one of the other ones at the moment. We actually have some army experience, so we could make an adjustment to our tanks now. The Panzer II. So this is the design we're going to be using. I do need to change the MIO up though. So they'll no longer get the penalty to defense. Both of these do grant a penalty to armor. But we lose in the reduction of production costs, and instead getting an increase to the max speed. This design is prioritizing max speed and the soft attack. So we got the soft attack just about as high as we can. Also got a pretty good breakthrough because I'm using the 3-man turret. I'm willing to pay the slightly higher production costs and also lose a little bit of speed to get that extra 4 breakthrough. Of course, we have the radio on there. For the gun, we're using the close support gun rather than the automatic cannon because we really want to get that 25 soft attack. This model simply won't care about the hard attack or the piercing that we could be getting with the improved small cannon. Also put the heavy machine gun on there. Again, just really trying to step up the soft attack as much as possible. Willing to pay that extra cost to do so. And then I have 1 additional machine gun for the increased soft attack. Also gives them a little bit of defense, not that that really matters. We could put an additional one on there. That'd put soft attack at 31. But I think this is good. Production is already pretty high. I know it's only 0.5 more. But I think this is pretty solid. We got the armor at 4, which is the highest we can get it, and the engine's at 9. Eventually we're going to want our light tanks to be even faster. Now, some people always wonder, why do I bother even using light tanks? I actually really like them. I like them for their speed. Are they the best tank? No. I would much prefer medium tanks. I think they're the best all-around tanks. And we'll probably use all three in this playthrough. But I really like the light tanks. I think they're powerful because they do an excellent job at getting behind units, cutting them off so you can overrun them, and taking victory points and horts behind units. So I really like the light tanks, as you already know if you've watched my past series. So this is the third event. It's new learnings. So just getting more experience. Not getting anything too exciting here. Yeah, this one's actually a negative. Design flaw detected. So it removed 10% of our progress. So that's unfortunate. You don't get the negative ones very often. So not having a lot of luck there, but we should have it completed very soon. So unfortunately we do have to end today's episode here. We get a couple more units built in before we do. Got those deployed. I should have kept one of those tanks there. We got 9 units currently in training. We didn't make it as far on the calendar as we usually do for our first episode. We got a lot going on. They keep adding stuff to this game, so there's all these different things you need to do that you didn't have to do before, like managing the MIOs, and of course now you got the special projects. We got to design our tanks and our planes. Of course, got complicated focus trees as well. Yeah, I'm looking forward to doing this campaign. It's been a long time since we played HOI 4, and so it's kind of new and exciting again because I hadn't even been playing off camera. You know, I did a playthrough right before we started this Let's Play, and that was the first one I had done since we ended that Russian campaign in February. So it's fun being back in the game after so long. Hope you guys did enjoy this first episode. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video, subscribe to our channel, hit that notification bell, and leave a comment. If you're looking for anything to watch while you wait for episode 2, check out the front page of our channel. We got a ton of videos all sorted by genre, so you should be able to find something that you'd enjoy watching. Consider checking out one of my new series. We got a CK3 campaign going. Also played a little bit of Victoria 3. We haven't quite finished up that campaign, so we're going to be returning to that either this week or next. And if you're interested in RTS games or Ants, then consider checking out our Empire of the Ants campaign. If you're looking for any links, check out the description of any of our videos. You'll find links to our PayPal, Patreon, and Teespring store if you'd like to help support the channel. You can also become a member here on YouTube. You'll find a link to our Discord if you'd like to join our community. And finally, you'll find links to all of our social media if you'd like to follow us on those. So I do hope to see you guys on another video, and thanks for watching.